Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a market essentials video slash how to create the best pop-up booth if you are a vendor and you're selling in person at markets, pop-ups, whatever you want to call them. So a little backstory, I started doing pop-up shops a little over a year ago. I started at the end of June of 2022 and now it is the end of October 2023. And I started with 2 pop-ups in California because my boyfriend's from California. And then we went back to school, back to college in New York, and I did a lot of pop-ups in New York. And now I'm living in New Hampshire and I'm gonna be doing pop-ups in New Hampshire for the foreseeable future. And I've done them every weekend pretty much this summer. So I've done my fair share of pop-ups and I wanted to share what I find to be the essentials and how you can make a nice booth. But I do want to say that if you're just starting out, don't feel like you need to invest all of this money and time into your booth. You can start small. I'm going to put a picture of what my booth looked like when I started and then also what it looks like now. So it does take time. Some people start with amazing booths and that's amazing, props to you, but don't feel pressured to like throw all this money into it. You don't want to like put all this money into your booth right away when you don't even know if you're gonna like the pop-up and like doing markets or like how you want your display to be. I feel like it's a lot of trial and error too with like how you want to display things. But let's just get right into this. I've divided the list of essentials into 2 categories. The first category is must-haves and then the second category is nice to have. And some people might think some items I have in my must-haves should be in the nice to have category and vice versa. This is just how I thought about them and where I put them in the category. So I have my list on my computer. I'm gonna put that in front of me so that I don't forget anything. So I'm gonna start with the must-haves list. And the first item is a canopy tent. This is sometimes not a must-have, usually is a must-have if you're doing pop-ups outside. I don't know how it is in other countries, but I found in the US that all of the outside markets I've done require you to have a tent. Some of them will provide tents. I've never been to a market where they provide tents for you, so I would say more often than not you need to have your own tent, and it's a 10 by 10 canopy is the like standard size for these markets. You typically get a 10 by 10 space, 10 feet by 10 feet outside. Inside sometimes those spaces are smaller. I'd say like usually they're smaller, like 8 by 10, 6 by 10 sometimes, which can make it difficult to go from vending outside to inside and have to like rearrange. I'm in that process right now. We just did our last outdoor market and now the indoor ones are a little smaller. But anyways, canopy tent is the first thing. And with that, you should definitely have weights. I'm pretty sure this is required at all of the markets, but you need to have weights to weigh down your canopy. Believe me when I say if there's a gust of wind and your tent is not weighed down, it's gonna go flying. Like it's the perfect parachute. And I've seen other vendors' tents like fly over and I just feel so bad for the vendors next to them. I don't feel bad for them because they should have weights on their canopy and that wouldn't happen. We have 45 and 50 pound weights on each leg of our canopy. That might be excessive, but you definitely want a lot of weight. And I know that sandbags, a lot of people use sandbags or like rock bags as well. So canopy and weights for the canopy is the first item. The second item is display pieces, which include tables, clothing racks, shelving, depending on what you're selling. Typically, you're gonna have tables, but I know some people who just sell apparel, that doesn't make sense necessarily for them to have tables. So they might just have clothing racks, but you could totally still use a table to display clothing. This is another thing that sometimes the events will provide for an additional fee. Sometimes it's like $10 for a table, but I think that it's nice to just invest in your own tables. I use 2 tables at my pop-up. Some people use 1. Some people buy 2 spaces for the day and they use 4 tables. So that's gonna vary depending again on what you sell, how much you sell. I also wanna say with the display pieces, it's nice to have different height on your tables. So that's where shelving can come in handy. You can also have standalone shelves. We have one that's spray painted pink. We have shelving on our candle table just to raise some of the candles. Incorporating different heights is more engaging for the customer rather than the customer coming up and everything's laying flat on your table. Also, having different levels will entice the customers to come in. It looks more intriguing. Another item I have under must-haves is tablecloths. Some people might say this is not a must-have, but I think it's very, very, very important if you want your display to look professional, and they're not very expensive. So I would definitely get tablecloths. The ones I recommend are the spandex ones that go under the table legs. I just think it looks super sleek. By the way, I will have my Amazon storefront linked below, and anything that I've purchased from Amazon for my business will be linked, and they are affiliate links, just so you know. So I make a little money off of it if you use the link, but they're truly the links for products I use at my pop-ups. So check that out if you're interested. I know the tablecloths are linked in there under the market category. The next must-have, again, some people might not think is necessary, but it's shopping bags. I've always had shopping bags, and I just recently went from like brown paper bags to white ones with handles, and it's so much easier. Depending on what you're selling, you might not need shopping bags. Like if you're an artist and you're selling these big pieces of art, you're not gonna use a shopping bag, but you will want a way to wrap it up for your customer. So just like if you're at a store, you wanna be able to provide your customers with a way of carrying their items out and not just like holding them. But again, some people might argue that. I just think it's a must-have. The next item is usually a must-have. I highly recommend it, and it's business insurance. We have general liability business insurance. A lot of markets require you to have insurance and provide proof of insurance. Some of them don't require that, but I still recommend having it. And then the last must-have I have is many pricing signs. I have every product of mine labeled with a price in some capacity. So like I don't have every single car coaster that I sell labeled on the back with a price, but I have a sign above my car coasters that says the price. And then all my other products, I have multiple signs for the pricing. This just prevents you from having to keep telling people your pricing, which you might feel uncomfortable doing. But also a lot of people don't want to ask what the price is of an item. So if they can just see it, then they can feel confident in making their decision about if they want to buy it or not, and not feel awkward asking you what the price is. And like I said, you don't want to be spewing out your prices all day. You're gonna get sick of it. So definitely have prices. People want to know what your pricing is. And I personally design my pricing signs in Canva and then print them and laminate them. And I have different ways of displaying my pricing as well. So that is all I have in the must-have category. It's a pretty short list in my opinion. So that just goes to show you don't need to do a ton if you're just starting out, but I recommend having everything I just listed. Now on to the nice to have, which again, some of these I'm leaning towards them being a must have, but I'll talk about that. The first one is a wagon. This is so helpful. We didn't have a wagon for a while, and once we got one, it was like game changing. We use a wagon just to transport our pop-up materials from our van to our spot. Sometimes for outside, you can pull up to your spot and then just unload right there, and we don't use the wagon. But a lot of the times we have to like park elsewhere and then bring everything in. And it would be so many trips if we didn't have a wagon, and it would be like very laborious. So a wagon, and then also a hand truck is very useful. A lot of people have hand trucks and they put their bins of items on there. We have both a hand truck and a wagon, just saves time going back and forth. Like it limits how many trips we have to do to the vehicle, and then obviously it helps when we break down as well. And then with indoor markets, obviously you can't pull up to your spot, so I think a wagon is very helpful for those as well. The next item is fans, like little fans. Let me show you one of ours. I believe these are linked on my Amazon storefront as well. Most of the things I'm talking about are linked, I believe. But this is what I mean when I say a fan, just like a little fan. This one's super nice because it has a clip. We clip it to the like pole of the canopy and just like aim it at us. We also bring our puppy to our pop-up, so we use this to keep him cool. These are very nice for the summer markets. That's like the only time we use them, but so nice. We've had a lot of vendors see them and be like, oh my gosh, I need to get fans. It's very nice. Like those pop-ups outside can get so hot, and this just helps keep us cool. So we have a few fans. We also have like a big one. We have like 3 or 4 fans that we use at least. So again, not necessary, but very useful. And then next on the list, I have sidewalls and half walls for your canopy. I feel like this is the perfect nice to have, but not necessary item. We didn't have them for a while. Some canopies come with the sidewalls, I think, and we like to use them when it starts raining, especially if it's windy, just to keep our items protected. So I do really recommend them. And then the half walls, it's a wall on the side of your canopy, but instead of a full wall, it's just like a strip. We use those to protect our candles from direct sunlight, because once they get direct sunlight on them, they start to melt. So you might find a different use for the half walls. I know that's kind of specific to what we're selling. Okay, the next item is a chair, and more specifically a higher chair, so that it kind of looks like you're standing when your customers come up. I currently don't have a super high one. I have like a stool from Target, which I need to get a different one because it's actually from Walmart. But I want to get one that looks like a movie set chair. Do you know what I mean? They just look so comfy. So I recommend that mostly because if you're standing all day, your feet are gonna kill and your ankles are gonna start to swell. At least that's what happens to me. If you really don't want a chair because you feel like it's unprofessional, I would recommend getting a mat, like a cushioned mat that you can stand on. I do have a chair, but I do find myself standing a lot anyways, but it is nice that my chair is higher, so I don't feel like I'm like hiding behind my booth if I'm sitting really low in a chair. The next item is a charging block slash battery. We use ours at every single fair. I don't know where it is, but it's like it has a handle. It's a pretty big one, and I use it to charge my card reader, my phone sometimes, my GoPro that I use when filming, different things like that. So we find that very helpful. It's just good to have a source of electricity for any of your technology, especially if you accidentally didn't charge something. So recommend that. I believe that's also linked on my Amazon. Next, speaking of Square Reader, is a Square Reader or some type of payment method that allows you to accept credit cards. A lot of people bring money to markets, but a lot of people don't, and they only have a credit card. So I definitely recommend having a way to accept credit cards. This is not necessary. You could just do Venmo. You could do Venmo Cash, Cash App, whatever you want. And that's super handy too because most people have Venmo. But a Square Reader is not too expensive. I think it's worth investing in. The next item is a cash box or a crossbody where you can store your change. I used to have a cash box, but then I got a crossbody and I found that to be a lot easier because I didn't have to keep digging into my cash box. I just had the money right on me. Again, not necessary, but very useful. Moving on, I have a spreadsheet tracker. So my boyfriend actually made our spreadsheet tracker that we use, and I sell it on my Etsy, so I'll have it linked below. And we've gotten great reviews on that, so other people are finding it helpful if you want to check it out. But this is just a way to track your sales, and then at the end of an event to see what percentage of sales were from each item, how many of everything you sold. It's not an inventory tracker, but it's a sales tracker, and you can use it to then go back and manage your inventory by looking at how much of everything you sold. The next item is a banner with your logo or your business name on it, or both. Mine has both. I did not have a banner up until like a month ago maybe, and I love it. I think it was necessary. It wasn't necessary, but it really has pulled my tent together and made everything more professional looking, and I think that's the main point of it. And then also people can see your business name and potentially remember it. I think that a banner is a great way to brand your booth. The next item going along with the banner, if you do have a banner, I would recommend having bungee cords to hook your banner on your tent. I have a video on my TikTok where I show how we hang our banner out, so if I remember, I will link that below as well so you can check it out. And then the banner is linked there as well in that video. The next two items I put together, which is tape and scissors. I just think that sometimes you need tape or scissors, so it's good to have in your pop-up bin. And that's kind of enough said on that. Also, a pop-up bin. I recommend having bins so that you can store everything you're bringing. It just makes it easier than carrying everything on its own. So bins for inventory and different pop-up materials is helpful. The next item is business cards. So I think this is borderline necessary so that you can have customers keep coming back to you and reordering and remembering your business. You can get a digital business card. I think Vistaprint sells them, other companies sell them, and you have your info on there and they scan it and it brings your info up on their phone. If you don't want to buy that, you can just make a QR code with like your Linktree or a QR code with your website and put that on a sign somewhere. Another option is to buy business card paper and make your business cards at home. And another option is to buy your business cards from a third party like Vistaprint. I just think it's a good idea to help spread your business, is to offer business cards. Also, you're probably gonna find that a lot of people ask you if you have a business card, and if you don't, you're gonna be like, okay, I need to start bringing them. So you might live and learn with that one. Next, I have paper towels. Again, this is just something that's nice. If you need it, you wanna have it on hand. So not super necessary, but sometimes you need a paper towel if something spills. And yeah, also like I've had people spill their drinks on my booth, and that's where paper towels come in handy. And then the last item I have is a trash bag. We usually take one of our shopping bags and have it behind our booth and use that as a trash bag. Just, you need a trash bag throughout the day, so I put that on here. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. Then we take our little trash bag to the big trash can at the market and that's that. So I hope that I've included everything. I hope I'm not gonna edit this video and be like, oh my gosh, I forgot whatever it is. But for the most part, this is everything that we use at our pop-ups. I didn't include things that were super niche to the products we sell because it's not gonna apply to everyone. I wanted to do a general market must-haves video. So I hope this was helpful. If you are starting to do pop-ups and you haven't done any yet, I wish you the best of luck. I hope it goes super smoothly. If you're an introvert, don't be scared. I'm an introvert, and I think the biggest thing that helps me do these markets is being confident in my work and seeing my work in front of me. When people come into your booth and they're looking and shopping, it's such a surreal experience, and it gives you that confidence to talk to your customers. You don't have to say much. I literally just say, hi, how are you? And then if they have questions, obviously I continue talking to them. This might be an unpopular opinion, but some people like to explain their products to every customer, and I think it's just too much. I think it's overwhelming for a customer. Some people, I'm sure, love to hear it, but I think I don't know, I think it can be a lot to have this whole spiel about your products when someone comes in. So I think just saying hello, greeting them as one does if someone comes into a store, and then letting them shop. Like giving them the same experience that they would have at a boutique or a storefront is kind of what you want to go for. Just imagine if you walked into a boutique and someone starts explaining everything that they're selling, you might feel overwhelmed or pressured to buy something. So you don't want your customers to feel like that. And I just wanted to say that for if you are starting and you're nervous, don't be nervous. You'll get more comfortable with time. I know I have, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I really hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, let me know down below. Also, I wanted to mention that there are different ways you can set up your pop-up with your tables. You can do a U, you can do an L. So you might find it helpful to do some research on that and see how you want to set up your booth prior to doing a pop-up. Maybe do a mock pop-up at home, a mock setup. That's what we did. So yeah, best of luck on your pop-ups, and I hope to see you in my next video. This is an unusual video for my channel. I mostly do studio vlogs where I prep for markets, and then at the end of the vlog, I take you with me to the market. So stay tuned for more of those. I'm doing a market next weekend, and I plan on vlogging it. My boyfriend's parents are coming from out of town, so we'll see if I have time, but that's the plan for next week, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching.